Hi guys, and welcome back to this channel. I have been mildly inspired by all the school related topics that I've been trying to film on the past couple of weeks. So today I'm gonna be doing a recollection of what it was like to study in ACJC in my time. It's gonna take a lot to cover like the entire 2 years there, so I'm not going to be talking about everything, but it's gonna be a story time slash like explanation as to what the culture is like in AC, or at least what I think the culture was like, and that will cover like my academics there as well as my CCA, which was dance. Just so that I'm a bit more organized and I don't start like rambling all over the place, so I probably won't cover things like house spirit or house events or like school events. Imagine me entering JC with a lot of like faith in my heart. Like I really promised myself to kind of start afresh and like be a new person, be as outgoing and as like friendly as I could to everyone, rather than who I had been for a lot of my childhood, which is like more shy and quiet and not very confident kind of person. That's how I came into AC as a 16-year-old. 16, right? Yeah. By the grace of God, Janice Teo was in my OG, and I had known Janice through Shauna. Shauna's my best friend, by the way, so I kind of already knew someone in my OG, and that was like such a blessing to me, because even though I had come in with like all this resolve to be all outgoing and cool, it was still scary, and I was just really relieved that I knew someone who would be in the same OG as me, and I mean we had like a common background and everything. So that's how I met Jan, and we have been friends ever since. And yeah, AC actually brought us together, which is so strange considering that we were in MG for like at least 4 years together. Okay, I think I'll start with camps first because it's kind of like the entry into the entire JC life. One of the most like outstanding things that left an impression on me was like this sudden presence of males in the vicinity. It definitely was pretty strange having guys around. I had never experienced that before, obviously. And I think my overwhelming impression was that guys are fun, like dramatic and fun, and stupid, like quite stupid as well. I have to say that I really liked my OG though. I have no idea if anyone from them is watching, probably not, but I really did like my OG in the end. It took me some while to like warm up to everyone, but I think that the people there were genuinely nice after you get to know them, and quite like ons about games and bonding, the activities, which is nice when you're in a camp, because I mean you don't want to be like overly enthusiastic to the point where it becomes a bit weird, you know, but you want to have people who also like don't mind being enthusiastic in the activity, so that you actually get to experience it fully and get to know one another. Okay, I am not going to name names because that's just weird. I will not name names, but I do think that yeah, some people in the OG definitely became popular later on. We're like more well known throughout the school, as per your usual like JC rumor slash gossip kind of situation, you know, like people would talk about them. On the whole, I really liked my OG, and I was really grateful to get to know them in the beginning. Yeah, just glad to have friends, and I'm glad to have Jen as well as Xiaxin. The three of us, I think those are like my closest friends from the OG, definitely, and we still keep in contact to this day. Okay, so other than that, another thing that really stood out to me was all the cheers. Like, I think AC probably, or like most JCs would have this, but cheers are such a thing. There were so many to remember, like one for drinking water and like the why are we waiting cheer. Oh my gosh, it makes me laugh to think about it. Like, I don't think I've cheered since like cat camp probably. Yeah, it's such like a Singaporean school culture thing to have cheers, but AC had a lot of that. Unfortunately, my OG kind of disbanded after camp, as most OGs do. I think I stopped saying hi to them a couple months in even, just cause like it became awkward to say hi to someone that you know you're never gonna catch up with again. But then I would hear about them, you know, later on, as I mentioned, because some of them would be like more popular and get up to more things in school generally. So I would hear about them, but we didn't really talking in after, and yeah, I didn't really keep in contact with them other than Jen and Tia. Okay, so for the school side of things, academia, I think on the whole, unless you are in SC1 or just like a super smart science class, I feel like AC is a party school. You know what, don't quote me on this, like this is all of my personal opinions and experiences, okay? But another thing that struck me when I first came into AC was that I was shocked at how many people and how frequently people actually pawn classes, basically skip out on classes and just like completely not go for them. I was shocked because like in MG it was a bit weird to do that. Like if you weren't in class, people would definitely notice, and then they'd ask where did she go, like why is she not in class. But in AC it's just so common to not turn up for classes at all. Like you can be in the library studying for another thing and just not be in class. And because it's like a lecture style, right, for a lot of the subjects, lectures is where they don't even mark your attendance, so if you don't go, no one's gonna call you out on it. And throughout my 2 years in AC, I had quite a few classmates who would just like not come for lectures, sometimes for tutorials as well, and it was just a thing. And okay, this might seem normal to some of you, but it was just surprising to me because I was a good girl who had never skipped a day in her life. Okay, I've never even skipped like one day of school when I was in MG because my mom was pretty strict about attendance. Like I remember one time, that was back when I was still in MG, I was sick and there was a field trip that was gonna go on that day, and I asked could I not go because I'm feeling unwell, and my mom didn't even want to let me stay at home even though I was ill, and it wasn't even like proper class, it was like a field trip, and she still wanted me to go. So that's kind of the household that I was brought up in, you know, to value education above all else. Which is not to say I'm a good student. I'm not like a straight A student, but I do value knowledge and education. So I would say that's kind of like the rough academic culture in AC. There are, and there will always be, people who mug a lot and are superstar, brilliant people. We in AC, we knew who those were. Like they were famous for being pretty smart. Not pretty smart, very, very smart. But in general, the culture is pretty lax. Like I said, pawning culture was a thing. A lot of people would just do it, no qualms whatsoever. And aside from, you know, like finishing homework between lessons and clamping down when exam periods start, I think a lot of people were very chill about school in general, and wouldn't take school studies very, very seriously until like maybe closer to A-levels or like promos at the end of J1. To add on the bit that I talked about guys being in school, actually on hindsight, it wasn't too bad. Like I got used to it pretty soon after, and in any case, my class, which was a mixed class for hybrid subject combis, had very, very little guys in the first place. Like there were 5 guys and the rest of us were girls, so I didn't really interact with that many anyway. Okay, so to talk a bit about my class, it was a mixed hybrid class, which means that all of us had quite radically different subject combis. So I could have friends who were doing like pure science or pure arts, or like just a mix. I think I got put into that class because my subject combi was pretty weird, and there was only one other guy in the cohort who had the exact same combi as me, which is Lydia, of course. But even though we had the same combi, we didn't even go for all the classes together because we were in different tutorials. And he would have skipped. Lydia skipped his classes, let it be known. So I know for like the other classes where all the students had the same subject combis, they'd basically go for every class together. And throughout my years in AC, I was actually pretty jealous of them because I never got that with my class, MG5. Basically, the only class where everyone would come together is PE, because even for things like general paper, we had a girl who does knowledge and inquiry, KI, so it wouldn't even be like full strength. I feel like I kind of missed out on the whole having a class together and like class spirit thing that everyone else had. My main group of friends was the clique that I had in class. Basically like all the girls that I vibed with and I'm still friends with to this day. I honestly would not have survived JC without them. Like, for the record, I don't hate it. I never hated my class. It's just I wish that we were closer or that there was more effort to like bond us together, because we couldn't go for classes together and there to be like other avenues to get closer, but that never really happened. Okay, so continuing on the academics, my subject combi was a hybrid subject combi, which is made up of H2 chemistry, H2 linguistics, H2 literature, H1 math, and then the compulsory, you know, Chinese, general paper, or project work. And I'll just go through all of them in order to the best of my ability. Chemistry sucked so much. I honestly don't even know why I chose chemistry anymore. It was like the remaining vestiges of my desire to be good at math and science from secondary school, so I decided like chemistry is versatile, you know, it's practical, it can get me into a number of uni courses. I was like, alright, I'm going for it. I don't regret it, but it caused me so much pain and heartache. I think I cried for chem like countless times, and if not for my friends and my amazing chem teacher, I would have just straight up failed chem and like passed away in the lab or something. As I said, my chem teacher is my favorite teacher from AC, and actually my favorite teacher of all time, Miss So. She's just such like a patient person in explaining all of like these friggin' complex chem concepts to you, breaking them down, and like not being pissed whenever I asked a stupid ass question. I was basically failing in J1 already. By the grace of God, I managed to get a B for our A-levels, which is not bad considering all of the struggle and like tears that I had to go through before. So I think in general the chem department in AC is not that bad. In my time there, I only ever heard like very bad complaints about the physics department, which obviously I never did myself, and I didn't know, like no one in my class did physics actually, not that I can remember. I think like at most H1 physics, so I heard this from like friends from other classes that the physics department was like horrible. But I think chem was okay, although we did have this one incident where like one of the chem teachers in another class kind of hinted at the questions that would be set for a CA beforehand, and if I'm not wrong, he kind of got in trouble for it. So that's like a little bit of school drama that happened. Lab times for chem was also I don't even know what to say. Like it was painful, but it was also pretty fun sometimes. Like most of the time it would just be me praying that Shirling would get the right answer so that I could copy off her results, or like messing around with Marianne. I really liked the fun lab sessions that they did during like some science discovery week. Like one time we made ice cream in lab and it was so good, like crushing up the Oreos and then mixing the cream. That was like my favorite lab session. And then another time we made slime and it was so easy, so simple. The only time I've ever interacted with slime, it was great, I loved it. And another time when I think Anik and Hakim, which is a guy from another class, we had some experiment to do with like almonds, and then we decided to see what it's like to burn an almond over a Bunsen burner. The result is just that it gets black, guys. I don't know what we were expecting. I guess that's another point. We had our science classes combined with another class. It was like half of one class and then half of my class, the half that did chemistry. So our classes were combined with like other classes, and it was pretty fun because like I guess that's one way where I could get to know other people as well. Like people from different classes could mingle together. I think SB6, the class that we were combined with, were like really nice and jovial people. Yeah, and it was quite enjoyable to have classes together with them. And also because I had a friend who was in my OG who was also in that class, so it was nice to kind of like continue that past the camp times, I guess. Moving on to English language and linguistics. Actually, that was one of the reasons why I even chose AC in the first place. Not only to be an MGAC girl, like I did not want to be, okay, let it be known that I did not want to be an MGAC girl, and to put like MGAC in my Insta bio or something like that. I wanted to be an ACSI girl. However, that did not happen because I am not book smart, so I had limited options. But anyway, I was looking at JCs, at subject combis, and I realized that there was this thing called linguistics, and only like very few JCs offer it in Singapore. AC, CJ, Dunman, Raffles, something like that. So AC just became a very obvious choice because it's easy to get in with the affiliation, and also it's quite near my house, so all I have to do is like take 74 down. And I would say the EL department is actually really good, except that my teacher is questionable. He was questionable. There were a lot of rumors about him like being weirdly involved with his past students. You know, these kinds of things, I don't know if it was because we were mean and we were young and like we just love to like spread rumors about people that may not be true. But I remember at one time there were actual screenshots of this Instagram page which he had, that photo shoots of him with previous students, and not like strictly PG photo shoots, if you get what I mean. So I don't know. All I remember is that in my entire time there, he was surrounded with a lot of rumors, and I hated ELL tutorials just because it was very long and very tedious the way that it was done. I could never stay awake. I always had to have like a waffle or a Hello Panda or something. However, ELL lectures were okay. Very small actually. The cohort for ELL is small, so it's very obvious when you're sleeping. But the lectures were mostly interesting enough, especially the sociolinguistics ones. I really liked those. Because so little people took ELL, obviously my tutorial class would be even smaller, so there was just like me, Shannon, Radhi, Ying Tong, and Liana, and I feel like it's just the 5 of us. I don't know if I'm missing out one more person. So our class was really small, and it was just, I think my teacher had it hard to try and get us to like answer. I think I had a pretty enjoyable time, and I'm really glad that AC offers linguistics because it is quite an opportunity to be able to learn something like that. It's a bit more specialized, more niche, and I genuinely enjoyed like the content that I was learning for the most part. Yeah. Okay, so for Lit, I think I overall enjoyed it as well. Like I've said before, I'm more of like a humans person. I like reading the books. I like learning about literature, the context, and like the supposed meanings. And my teacher was this super like sassy kind of ice queen. Like her nickname was Ice Queen, and she was very effective in getting people to listen up and to answer during class, mainly because like she would just call you out and then you kind of have to like come up with an answer on the spot. And also you weren't allowed to sleep during tutorials. As I said before, the classes were combined, so I was with Jen in this class, and that was so good. Like, because Jen is the kind of person who would always answer the teacher's questions, and I prefer to just stay quiet in the background. Like, please don't call me, don't acknowledge me, I don't want to be seen. So it was really good to have someone like Jen in the class for us to like ride on the back of her amazing answers. So for Lit, we did a couple of Shakespeare books. I remember like Measure for Measure. There was a Faustus. That one's not by Shakespeare. Poems from, what's his name, John Donne. That was one of the first poems that we analyzed, this poem by John Donne, and it was about basically sex. And we also did Great Gatsby, which is my introduction into the world of Fitzgerald, and I found it a little bit nonsensical at times, not gonna lie, but I'm really glad that I took Lit because it made me make sense of the book a lot more, because I don't possess the kind of like skill and acumen to understand it deeply as if I had read it on my own. Lit was not bad. Yeah, I think I learned a lot from Lit actually, and the Lit department is like spunky. That's all I can say. Alright, then for the last main subject-ish, I took H1 Math, and H1 Math, if you don't already know, is like the easy peasiest of JC subjects probably. But it's like secondary school level, maybe a little bit more because you have to learn all these functions on the GC. So I wasn't the best student in math. If I had to pawn any class, it would have been math, and I did end up like skipping 1 or 2. Just because I felt like it was a waste of time and I needed to do something else, like probably rush out a piece of homework. And that's why I ended up getting a C. I think it was because the bell curve is so high, because everyone pretty much knows how to do it, so you have to get everything perfect or you'll just get pulled down. So that's what happened to me. And the worst part about H1 Math is that I didn't have any friends except for Yiling in my class, because they pulled everyone together from different classes and the only one that I knew was Yiling. She was my only friend in H1 Math. Without her I would have just like, I don't know, been like all sad by myself. And our teacher was this I don't know how to describe her, but kind of like your middle-aged, like fussy but nice woman who kind of like bustled around and couldn't really get the class in order sometimes. But she was really sweet lah when we went for consults and everything. So I would say she's not bad. Math was not the best, honestly. I'm glad to have escaped it. But I'm just glad that I don't take H2 Math, because my friends who took H2 Math were dying like every single time. That's all I can think of on the academic front for now. I know I haven't really covered the common subjects, but I don't have anything like major to talk about them. So I'm gonna move on to the CCA part, because I do feel like CCA is pretty important to AC culture. There are probably schools out there that don't really count heavily on CCAs, like what CCA you're from and whether that contributes to like your social status or not, but I honestly think that AC was pretty heavy on that. I can confirm that there were CCA specific benches for people in the canteen. I didn't really know what to make of it when I was there. I kind of just took it as it is and avoided it. So if I remember correctly, there was definitely like a rugby table for the rugby guys and then a softball table. Those are the two definite ones that I can remember. I don't know, soccer maybe, but they were to like the right of the canteen. So if you were in those CCAs, congratulations, you do not have to hustle for seats like the rest of us peasants. What happens is that someone from the CCA, especially for rugby, I think this happened, they'll just put their bag down on the table and that's when you know it's like reserved. I think people mostly respected this tradition. Like, I don't think anything super bad would happen to you if you sat on it, but personally I just never tried because it's just weird and I didn't want to like put myself in that situation. But when I first came in, I did hear stories of the past when I guess these social rules were a bit more enforced, and then like they would do something to people who tried to sit down on those like reserved benches. So yeah. As for my own CCA, I was in ACJC Dance Society. It's a really intense CCA. It's always been my dream CCA actually, like from, you know, I started dance in secondary school and obviously I wanted to continue in JC after putting in so much hard work to try and get better at it. And I was really scared going for auditions because I had seen AC Dance in open house and everyone just seemed so good, like actually amazing. I was wowed by the item at open house. So I went for auditions, got in, not without a healthy amount of fear though. And I remember also trying out for a choir. Like, I know I'm not a singer and it makes me so embarrassed to think about it, but I went for choir trials because I was genuinely scared that I wouldn't get a CCA, and it was so bad. Yeah, choir trials were not good, but dance is okay. And after I got in, there was trainings, and trainings are like 2 times a week. One with our coaches and another one with the dance mistress. I forgot what AC calls it, but like the dance mistress of the club. So yeah, twice a week, 3 hours each. And we'd start about 5 o'clock because the latest classes end 4+, and then we go all the way till 8 p.m. So then by the time I go home, it'd be like 8:30, maybe 9ish, and dinner was often late on those days. So it was actually pretty tiring to be a JC student, you know, come to think of it. There were definitely CCs that ended later than us as well, so yeah, it's a lot to do. For AC dance, I have to say that I never really felt fully comfortable in that place and with those people. It wasn't in particular like any people's fault or like any group of people, you know. It was just, I just never felt like fully comfortable with everyone there. And if it hadn't been for like this close group of friends that I got to know, basically Sam, Verdis, Wenjin, Chloe and Steph, like those are my only friends in AC dance. Not like I wouldn't talk to anyone else or anything, like we did like chat and like make jokes and stuff, but I wouldn't really call them my friends, and they were really just CC mates. And that's like the social aspect of it. Like, I know some other CCs were really tight, but I don't think AC dance was ever that like close as an entire batch. My batch definitely had some drama, especially within the exco, which I wasn't like aware of even when it was happening. Like, I didn't really know what was going on at all. I just know that people had arguments, vendettas against each other, and I honestly think it might be a bit of a dance thing as well, because dramas did happen when I was in MG dance, and maybe it's like all this prima donna energy, you know. But anyway, there were fights, not that I was involved. The CCA was definitely not my main source of social activity. Like, it's just because I genuinely love dancing and I wanted to continue in the art slash sport, and I was really lucky to have my close friends around me, but I wasn't going to dance for the people in general, which might contradict the experiences of some other people in dance. Like, I think some people from my batch really made friends with a lot of people. Like, there was like a big group within my batch that like were close and hung out with each other and like had fun and everything, but I don't think that I was in this group at all, and I just didn't have the same experience as them. And then for the trainings, they were really really rough, at least for me. To begin with, I'm not like the strongest contemporary dancer, and I don't really do hip-hop at all, because yeah, I just don't. So trainings were pretty rough in terms of getting the counts right and getting the movements exactly right. I'm quite flexible, and technique wise I'm not the best, but I'm passable. But I really suffered a lot during some of the choreographies that we had that were a bit more hip-hop based. Definitely got scolded a lot by Zaki during the trainings, and that has left a permanent scar on me. Like, no shade, not in like a bad way, but I was really I was disciplined a lot in AC dance just by like the whole rigor of it, and trying to make myself as perfect as possible. Yeah. With that being said, I don't regret joining it, obviously. Like, I think the main thing is that I don't regret my choices in JC. I think everything happens for a reason, and I definitely learned a lot in the CCA. Like, the people in there, even though I wasn't close to anyone other than like the aforementioned, I really think that everyone was such a good dancer. Like, really great techniques, really great expressions, things that I wish I had in myself, and I was really inspired by them in my time there, especially the choreographers for our Bailamos annual dance concerts. And it's entirely student choreographed except for like 1 or 2 pieces by our coaches. But I really like those pieces, and I wish I was a choreographer, but I'm really not. Like, I suck at thinking of my own moves. But it's a privilege to like dance an item that has been choreographed by someone that you know and who is like you. And when it came to an end in June of 2018, then all performances stopped, all CCAs stopped. It was really sad, and I do miss to a certain extent going for CCA. It's nothing like Synergy. AC dance is nothing like Synergy, the dance that I do now. So different. Not to say anything about Synergy, but I think just like the technique and the flow of the movement and the various styles of dance that they do are like worlds apart, and I don't get the same amount of like rigor, and I just don't get the same amount of intensity I do in AC as compared to right now, which is not a bad thing. It's just, like I said, it's just different. So I think for the most part of JC, I was just plodding along with my like specific groups of friends, and that's what made it bearable. At the end of it, you know, JC was a pretty good time. Like, I think there were definitely painful and like horrible, stressful, lonely moments as with any other time, but it was also carefree because it's just school, you know. There's no like real life consequences attached to anything that you do. Yeah, that is my experience of studying in AC from the academic and sort of CCA kind of standpoint. And I know I talked a little bit about like how the social life is like there. So yeah, that is all I can think of for today. I don't know, I hope this video is not too boring and rambly, but I never really hear what exactly the culture or like life is like in other JCs as well. So if you have any experiences, I would love to know any of the spice or the drama. And that's all I have today. I'm gonna go now. I don't know how to end videos. Okay, see you guys very soon. Bye.